About it with Alice. Wow, we've got a great one for you today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, please, please hit share, hit like. We got Terry on this afternoon, and we've got
Hello,
Joanna
everyone.
on this afternoon. Hello, everybody. We've got it great for you. So thank you so much for joining. Let's talk about it because you know it's all about life experiences, all about our families, all about us as women, as men, individuals, as well as our children. It's all about the things that's going on that affects us and the things that's going on around. So we say, join us. All right. Please, please, please hit like and hit share. We thank you so much for joining. So we're going to get started with the great topic this afternoon. Let's talk about it with Alice. All right, we're getting started. We've got a lot of things that's been going on, and we want to talk about some, and then some things that women have really been requesting that we do address and talk about this month is anxiety and it is stress month. And we do like to keep you updated on those kinds of things that affect us. However, the real biggie is this gun. What is it? I think it's carrying gun laws. Um, did you not know that there are 22 states already have instituted the carry gun law? It's already in place that you can carry a gun without a permit. Ha!
Yes.
22 states. And Georgia is coming on board. It is before the governor now. The only thing you got to do is sign it because you know beforehand you had to be 21 years of age, and you had to have a gun permit, which I have a gun permit because and so
It's
therefore
still the same.
now it's still the same, but it's gonna the game is changing in Georgia. The game is changing.
Right.
The 20 states that's already got the gun law. And so, Terry, talk a little bit about that, what that means.
Well,
It's
that
already,
means that you can walk around and have your gun, concealed weapon, without a permit.
and it
And
doesn't
I
have to
just
be concealed,
renewed.
though. It doesn't have to
It
be
does.
concealed.
You can. Yeah, it doesn't, and you can carry it around in public. So, which is crazy.
Wow.
But my thought is, what does it do for how would that affect our Black community? And then the children are toting guns at 12 years old. So how would you distinguish between a 12-year-old toting a gun versus an adult? And you don't have to have a permit,
So
which
a
is
What do
little
you mean a
child,
12-year
what do you mean
gun?
a 12? What do you mean
yes,
by that?
yes.
I don't understand.
I was told that, yeah, of course, in the hood, as young as
But no,
12 year
right,
olds
right.
are
You
in
know
the
what I'm saying?
urban area. Let's say the urban area, they're carrying guns as early as 12 years old.
Yeah, but the
So
gun law doesn't,
we're
right? The gun law
no,
doesn't
we're not
support,
right.
right,
No, they don't support that. But I'm just saying,
right.
how does that affect our youth as it relates to them, already carrying guns and all that. But then my thought was, how does that affect our community?
Are you
You know, with the
I
you're
don't
thinking that it's
guns
going
and not having
to
a permit because they're already doing it anyway.
are you saying that it's going to um further promote them different ones carrying guns? Like I don't understand.
No,
I
Yeah,
I'm
because children are young people are carrying guns anyway. But this is
anyway.
illegal. They're carrying guns,
Right.
and so but it's not going to affect it because children should not be carrying guns.
They
First of
should
all,
not.
and
Right.
right.
so the point is that yeah, they shouldn't be carrying guns. This law does not allow for children to carry guns at all.
No,
This
that's
law
not
is
what I'm
saying
saying.
that
Yeah.
for adults over 21 are able to
Right.
carry guns without a permit. And this is what the law is
Right.
saying. So you really don't have to go down and get your finger checked. I mean, your fingerprints and all of that.
Right.
You can just buy a gun and you're able to carry that gun. And you don't
Right.
have to have it, you can carry it out,
Right.
the way you should. So this is what this law is doing. So this is,
Right. And that's what that law is. But what I was saying is, like, you got children that may be 12 years old carrying a gun, and they may look like they an adult. You know what I'm saying? Which they shouldn't, again, be carrying guns, period. But you won't be able to distinguish. Because now you can
That's
just, you see
crazy.
what, now do I make sense?
Yeah. Why? Well, I guess the question is why do they think that it's appropriate to allow people to carry guns without going through the proper vetting? You know, to me, there should be something in place
Yeah.
just so that you know who's running around with guns, who, you know, I mean, there's so many issues that are going on, just even with just around mental health. And you would
Right.
want,
I
or
think
people
that
having records.
they
You
will
know,
have
some
to
people
register.
just flat out don't need to have a gun in their hand if they've not been vetted.
Yeah, I
Right.
think
And then,
that
but the Constitution, we have the right to bear arms according to the Second Amendment. But who is bearing arms
in
is
my
the
opinion, I
thing.
think so.
Go ahead.
Since I didn't do the research on terms of when they go to purchase a gun, their name must still have to be registered. Okay,
Right.
Okay.
but which means that they do not have to go to the courthouse to get to go through that proper channel. I'm thinking, but anyway,
Well,
that's where it is.
yeah. But
Yeah,
people can get
they they,
guns
they
without
do
doing
have
any of
to,
that.
right. But
You
the
know
point
that.
is that people have guns anyway. So,
Right.
without being registered or whatever, people do have
Mhm.
bear. But the alarming thing is that you've got the 22 states that, which will be 23 if, whenever, or if the governor of Georgia signs on that and people can go back and read that and then find out
Right.
what states are involved. We do just encourage people to
Right.
go back and read and see,
But
because you
also
can put the state.
the good thing about, well, the thing that should be done anyway is get a permit anyway, because you have the other 22 states that more than likely will recognize or honor the Georgia permit. So that means you can go to another state with your, gun, as long as you have a permit.
Now, this is my thing.
Mm.
I think that traveling, yeah, from state to state, with a gun, I would think that you should have a permit, but some states, you just, I guess, not allowed to cross over to another state with an arm,
Right.
especially
And then
if that
yeah,
state does not acknowledge it, and so you could
right,
technically get in trouble for carrying
right.
over into a state that does not own that. So
Well, like New
that's
York,
what that's
like New York.
yeah,
Yeah, like New
right.
York. So yeah,
So,
it's just that people have to do the research on what the laws are in each individual state, and that way they'll know and go accordingly. But New York is one state that no gun. So
no, driving from here to the Yorkers. All right.
yeah,
Well, that's
so
good to know. That's great information.
mhm.
Thank you so much. We're not experts in this, but we try to follow
Right.
that because this is an interesting thing. But the
It's very
other
interesting.
alarming thing that so many, many young children are parents are leaving is negligent in terms of where they keep their firearm.
Right,
Children are getting,
right,
hold to these guns because they're just laying
right.
around. That is not acceptable. That you would just
Hmm.
lay your firearm around and you have small children or even teenagers in the home. And so here in Georgia, a lot of children over the past, I would say the past 6 months, children in just last week are shooting themselves with guns because they pick the gun up, and they're shooting themselves. They think it's a play gun. And so that's so unacceptable. I remember when my
Yeah.
children was growing up, guys were growing up, father had guns, but he always kept those in a lockbox and put away.
Right,
And so
right.
therefore you couldn't get it. What is wrong with putting your
So your
gun,
gun.
and I
I
understand,
don't.
but
Yeah,
putting it away so that children will not get a hold to the guns. I think that that's really important,
yeah.
Well,
But look,
just share
something needs to be put in place for
community.
that.
Yeah, well, you gonna have to go to
Yeah.
jail for that. That'll be in place. So,
Yeah. Well,
probably
yeah, that's
no
true
one
too.
will.
But
If you're about to end up in jail because of your negligence, that's on you. But we do encourage, parents, if you do have a firearm, please, please keep those firearms out. Even in the car. One young boy
exactly.
shot his
Self in
brother,
the car.
and the gun
Yep.
was in the console of the car. The parent got out to go in the store, and then they, how children ramble. got the gun and shot another. So, I mean, just have to be careful. This is not
Yeah,
something that you
That's
end up talking about.
they can
You're
put
going to
some
talk
gun
about,
safety things
but
in place. Mm-hmm.
it is just something that really does concern. Let's
And it's
put it that
sad.
way.
It's
All right.
sad, yes. Mm-hmm.
So, as we move to the next thing that I think that was really good is I judge. Woo! Judge
Yay!
Tanya Brown Jackson. Listen, on the
Yes.
highest court of the
Yes.
land. I know everybody knows that. We ring the bells, but we have to, yes, yes, continue to resound that because this is one of the biggest history making of all times. Can you imagine
such
what
a
she
big
felt?
deal.
But the grace that she showed as she went
Yes.
through this. She showed
Yes.
grace. She showed dignity. She showed
Yes.
how you can handle different things. I think we talked about that last week. But yes,
Strength.
we are
Yes.
so honored to just be able to say this is such great milestone. But it also sends a message to our young people who are going into law and how you
Right.
should, carry
Mm.
yourself. It just goes for that. Young people who are, considering going into the field of law, it is so great. This is so rewarding for her. But she managed to get through all of what she went through with, could have gotten angry, could have done a lot of things
Yes.
because things were, done thrown at her. But she showed all of the grace and dignity as to how you handle yourself on a world stage. And that was so great. So
Yes.
thank God for this great milestone in our
Yes.
history. Is there anything? Yes, yes, yes. One of the great things that I think that since this month is the month, and I'm saying this to everybody, but to our ladies, we got something especially for you. The men want to listen in, yeah, we're going to throw something in for them. But something that women have really been asking that we share, and that is goes along with anxiety. It goes along with, the
Stress.
stress that we
Stress. Yeah.
feel. But I'm thinking about the women that are going through menopause. Uh, that
Woo.
is not a dirty word. That is a word. That is a word just like any other word, anxiety, because that brings on stress. It brings on
Mhm.
anxiety, menopause. So, what do y'all think about that? Of course, I'm beyond that, but what do I think about that? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's
Bunny,
talk
you
about
first.
it. Yeah, I this I had somebody approach me and was like, "Y'all need to talk about menopause because people don't talk about it enough. You can't find enough information online, and then the information that you find is very generic." And she was like, y'all need to talk about it. Like, what are women really dealing with? She was saying the older women are not sharing their experiences with the younger women to prepare them for menopause. And so I brought it to your attention, Mom, and you're like, okay, let's go ahead and talk about it.
And let's
But I
talk
mean, I
about
thought that,
why yeah, go on.
let's talk about why what?
No, I'm saying go on.
Yeah.
What you were saying.
So it was, the question was, can you all talk about it? Because again, this is a person, she became menopause surgically, and we know different ones. They're either going through perimenopause. We know it starts between, and let me first preface this by saying we're not physicians. We're not diagnosing anybody. We're only talking about our own experiences and
Right.
sharing our truth about menopause. So let me caveat that conversation first now. But with the little bit that we do know is that it hits over 3 million women a year. That it is when your estrogen levels are pretty much starting to deplete or becomes depleted when you're in full menopause, but you start depleting and you start having all of these crazy symptoms and I know we're talking about stress and how do you reduce stress. Well, some of the stress is caused by your body changing, and our bodies change, whether it changes through surgery or it changes through you get to a certain age between 45 and 55 and on up, you start having menopausal symptoms and actually develop, potentially go into full menopause. But what are some of the symptoms that women deal with? I can say I was 30, 38, 39, and I had surgery, and I went into full blown menopause. And I know all of you guys can
Ooh.
share your experiences just based on where you guys were. So we'll kind of go back and forth with this discussion, but I think we need to talk about what really happens to our bodies, and we can
I
get on
think that
women and talk about them
yeah,
as well.
I think that, for us, and so my age, of course, who's past that, but the older women used to say, because I used to always wonder, especially with my sister, and she would just break out in this sweat and be fanning and carrying. I'm like, what in the world? She always would
Now, I
say,
used to say
you
that about
just
you
keep
too.
living. You just
Yeah,
keep
we used
living.
to say that about you.
But the point is that keep living, because there are
You're right.
things that's going to happen. It's just going to happen. There's no way around it. And it does bring on stress. It does bring on anxiety. And also, I know when I was younger, you heard, people say, oh, she went crazy and they had to put her in a mental institution. And it was because some women was going through menopause, didn't know what was happening to them. Their personality changed and different things was happening to them. They couldn't handle, stress. They couldn't handle a lot of things. And there was no, at that time, I don't think doctors were, prescribing anything for any women, but women dealt with that and they put it on, mental health so a lot of times. And so I'm saying that it is real. Menopause is real. And I believe that the generation that I think about now is like your generation are the ones that's experiencing that now. The baby boomers are
Mm-hmm.
gone. But now the generation behind us and behind them are the ones that's experiencing that, and that is real. Yes, and
You
it
hear
affects your
about the hot
personality. It
flashes.
affects different things. Yeah,
So, mom, you hear about the hot flashes, but people don't talk about all the other stuff that you start dealing
yes,
with. But the hot flashes, yes, is like number one. You feel like you're literally on fire, and
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you can't stop sweating, whatever's going
Michelle
on.
said this.
You're so that's number one.
Yeah,
Michelle
Dr.
said,
Michelle
Mental
said these.
fogginess, where
Yeah,
you
okay.
feel. Go ahead.
No, go on.
You have mental fogginess where
Uh
you
huh.
can't even remember stuff. You're like lose your train of thinking.
"Oh,
You
that's a
know
part
the
of that."
answer, and then you're like, what? I can't even. You're just like trying to figure out what you were thinking. You're the brain. It's just like the brain just start fading. So mental fogginess, you start having a lot of weight gain. So it's like the
Yeah.
weight don't come off. You get that tire in your belly, and you're like, okay, God dog it, I'm not eating this. I'm not eating this. Weight won't
But
go
but
away, and it
everybody
just continues to compound.
but everybody
Uh-huh.
goes through it different. Everybody's
Right.
symptoms are not the
Yes,
same. And so that's one thing. Everybody's symptoms are not the same. Some people go through it yeah,
exactly.
differently. Also, Dr. Michelle said you never over through menopause. And she said, because of your
What's
glands. And she
you never through? What's she?
yeah, yeah. Can you read
What is
that?
she
Because
saying?
letters keep coming up before mine and I can't read what she said. Can someone else
You
Let
read?
me
never through
see.
with menopause, so that just keep on happening forever.
I know
Nah.
that some people
Is
go through it. When I say for years, she's right, for years. This is not something that's a quick fix. You go through it today and you're over it, or you go through it 1 month and you're over it. No, you
well,
feel
they
some
say
different
the
symptoms.
average, like the time that from when it starts to when it starts fading as get up in years is roughly what 14, 15 years of symptoms that you could be dealing with. And
Oh.
but it's supposed to fade.
Well,
So, mom, you're like in your 70s. What kind
she
of
said
guided Terry and me on,
she said the
mom, you tell
glands
us your
continue.
experience. Tell
She
us
said
your
the glands
experience.
continue to make the sex hormones. That's why you just don't never get through all
Well,
of
that's
it.
isn't that though?
So
See, Dr. Michelle should be on here live because my question is, isn't that when you actually have
she'll be on here.
estrogen producing ovary when you have an ovary? Because if you have surgical menopause where you literally have zero ovaries, there's no sex gland producing hormone that's there, right? That's what I, would love for her to share with us. Mom, I know you
She
and
said,
Terry have one ovary each, so you guys are good, but they have to give women estrogen just so that you can
Mhm.
start continue to produce, or you take supplements and different things to just allow your body to overcome some of these symptoms that you're experiencing because of menopause or perimenopause, right?
she says that yes, ma'am, it takes a break, but it's ongoing. The adrenaline gland still produces in that area. It
Okay.
produces the hormones and not just the ovaries. Okay, she said. So yeah,
Okay.
I
So the
still
adrenal,
do.
okay,
Yeah, with
adrenal gland.
one. Yeah, so it continues. So it's not something that it doesn't hit you as hard. It just kind of fizz out, but it's always there. In other words, it's always there. And yes, having one ovary still produce in that age. And so yes, so sometimes you go through the different phases, but it's not as bad as it was when the onset. The onset seems to be the hardest part. The
Mhm.
onset. Yeah.
Well, you can say insomnia is one of those symptoms where you're hot, mom. And
Absolutely.
I remember, mom, what you were going through where you couldn't hardly sleep. You're waking up at different times. And I know for me, same thing. You just wake
I
up
can't
at
Yeah,
sleep
me
odd
too.
sometimes.
times,
So
up and
Yeah.
down. You're like, okay, I can't. You start looking around, because you're not
yeah,
sleeping, mood changes. I mean, it's like the
yeah.
most interesting.
On some
Why? It's like, yeah, you really feel sometimes like, what in the world? Why
Wow.
are you waking up so exhausted?
attitude changes.
Sometimes.
Attitude
Yes.
changes.
Mood swings. Yeah.
Vaginal dryness
Mood
is another
swings.
one.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yep. So it's
Absolutely. And women have to deal with that. That is a real struggle. Yeah. That's the absolute
Ooh.
truth.
How
So,
do the men
all
have
of
to
these
deal with
things
the
here.
women if you're married and your wife going through that? How
And,
you
and
deal
that's
with
see, that's
that?
the other thing. Is
yeah.
that
Go ahead, mom.
Men,
Yeah,
where are
go
you?
ahead. I was gonna say, yeah, we should have had a
yes,
male on here.
we
Just
really
said,
should.
to give their
Because
own.
men go through things. Yeah, but
They
the thing
do.
is that we have to really, really. She said that yes, they may give hormonal replacement therapy to
Yes.
quell the hot flashes, symptoms, etc. And but not for the heart health protection. So we have to understand heart health protection. These are hot flashes. Some people feel cold, and some of your mood changes, like you said, you want mental
Oh my
deficiency
gosh.
and fogging. All of this goes along with it. And women who are struggling with that,
It's
yes, it can be overwhelming. Yes, it can be something that can drive you almost bananas. Yes, it
and
is
you can
something
drive
that'll
your
cause
spouse
you to come out of
bananas.
your clothes. It'll cause you to come out of your clothes in the middle of the night, and you just want to have air all over the place. And yes, all of this is
Man,
real.
that's so true.
This is
Oh, Lord
real.
have mercy. That's
So
why we sit
it
with
just
fans and
makes sense.
everything. Fans, ceiling fans,
Right.
air
And you
conditioner
walk around.
on, and the fan.
I remember one of the
Right.
young ladies
And
at
then
work,
you
man, she would be sitting up at her desk, and I had these little bitty little fans that you turn on. She'd be sitting up at the desk working on her computer with that fan on her face like that. She would just have
I
that fan
have
right
a
there.
girlfriend.
Cause she
My
hot.
girlfriend has one of those
Yeah,
little fans.
right,
And she walks
right.
around with her little fan wherever she is. She has that little fan on because she is like
And
she's like, girl, I'm having a flash. And it is so funny
right.
to just see it happens.
Dr.
It's
Yeah.
not
Michelle said
funny, but it's
men go
real.
through menopause as well.
Oh, yes,
Hello.
they
Men go
do.
Yes,
through
they
it
do.
as well.
They do.
You
Because their
see? So their
That's
testosterone
why I
levels
hormonal
said
changes,
skyrocket.
menopause.
which
Menopause.
cause
Men,
They say
which
womenopause.
cause
men pause.
which causes middle life crisis. Remember I talked about middle
Oh
life
Lord.
crisis? think they losing something. They still got to be the
Yeah.
macho. They feel like something. they they go through it too. They go
Wow.
through.
They
They go through
40s
that.
and 50s.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
because
So
their
men,
Gotta
mood
be.
swing.
hey,
Yes, their mood swing, their testosterone levels drop. Muscle mass is not really there unless they're really just, like going at it with supplements and stuff. But they go again, same thing. What happens to women happens to men. They just don't have ovaries. They got, whatever they have. But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. Their change, they go through the same changes. Now let's talk about some of the medicines or at least some of the supplements. I don't know what worked for you all, but I do remember you telling me this, Mom, that sugar tends to set you
trigger.
Yeah.
into having
That was
hot
mine.
flashes. It's like you
Right.
wonder why all of a
Silk and
sudden you have a hot
satin
flash.
would bring it
Or
on. I just had it all
yeah,
cotton pajamas, cotton everything. Sorry, but again, for different people,
Right.
it's different. But I had to
it
find out
does.
what works for me. I could not the sugar and satin and all of that. I can't even do that now. I would sweat to death. You're talking about an old
Oh
hot
wow.
flash. It'll come back
Yes.
from 20 years ago. It'll creep up. So
Ooh.
no, those are things it'll hunt me down. I'm serious.
Oh my God.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
some doctors can
absolutely.
do hormone therapy. Some doctors will prescribe hormone therapy. Some women choose not to take hormones, and so they'll
Cause
just
they
take
said
a bunch of different type of
I heard that
supplements.
some of those supplements cause cancer. So what is that about?
Well,
Well,
I think it's, you have to, as moms say, figure out what works for
And then
you,
some of it is
with
very
diet
expensive too.
changes. Yes, it can be diet changes. And think about it, supplements are not really regulated. A lot of that stuff, drugs, they have to go through regulation, they have to go through testing and all of that. A lot of
Okay.
these supplements
Okay.
that people are taking over the counter, like black hole hash and all this other stuff. Yes, there's some studies,
Who?
some minor studies, but it doesn't go
I
through
done
the
bought it
rigorous
all.
testing.
Uh,
It doesn't go through
let,
rigorous
None
testing
of them
like
work.
drugs that are
None of it
let
through
me
work.
the
tell you,
FDA. Yeah,
early on, I have
black hole
bought
hash
it
is a joke.
all. I have bought it all. Dr. Michelle did say this, I mean, which was really great. She said, this is and has been a taboo topic for women because it signifies them aging and less vitality. Well, it's a man
Right.
driven society. She said, a man driven society, really. Hence the name menopause. She said, laugh out
No,
loud.
what I said,
So,
men.
but
Oh,
this Michelle, you're so right, Dr. Michelle. So very right. Should have been on here, and I'm
we put
glad
it
that
on them.
you're coming in really great because it's good information. And so for hormonal therapy, um, people get hormonal therapy, and so you have to go to your doctor and get what will your doctor feel that will work best for you. But I
Yeah.
just want you to know I had the patch didn't stay on, throw the patch away. That wasn't working. It just wasn't working. And so for people who
Have
are
a lot. I
struggling
can
with
tell you
that,
some of the treatments, at least. Yeah, there's some
okay,
of the treatments that are medications that can be prescribed. And then again, like you were saying, there are some natural treatments, vitamins, diet, exercise, de-stressing, taking go, get just pamper yourself. It's truly a lot of self-care that goes into it. You're really treating the symptoms. Doctors can prescribe hormone therapy, estrogen therapy, vaginal estrogen, low dose antidepressants. They can give you
yeah,
drugs like
yeah,
gabapentin, clonidine, just
yes,
other types of medicines, that really
yeah.
help to treat the various symptoms and issues that women find themselves facing when they do have menopause. But there are a lot of supplements, that
Yeah.
women tend to take, and natural,
And you
remedies
have to
that women
check
tend
with
to.
your doctor when you're getting supplements to be
Exactly,
sure
because
that
they
it
could
doesn't go against the medication that you
contraindicate.
may be on. Yes. Um,
Exactly, which a lot of
Dr.
it
Michelle,
can.
yeah, she said
Right.
check with your personal physician or pharmacist regarding hormone replacement therapy only for a short term care. Check regarding medication interactions, like what we just said earlier. So, all of these
Mm-hmm.
things that we want to check in terms of care, like she said, the black cause, she said, even primrose, etc. So it's just the different things that you can try. But I found it because I did go to the doctor and I tried the different hormonal therapies. And I'll be honest with you, and they just didn't work. Then I got afraid because I'd had a breast biopsy and had a lump in my breast at one point, and I was afraid to take the I forget what the Premium, I think that's what it was, a pill,
Yeah.
and so I was afraid of that, and because I didn't want anything increasing, so I started with the different um, things that was over the counter, vitamins and different
Mhm.
things like that. And the one thing I just found that really, not that it was a cure all or work, but was to just, dress in layers and just pull off, dress in the different layers, where I can pull off and I'll be okay. And then I found that, like I said, the silk, the satin blouses, and all the little things, they brought on my sweats and all of that. So I had to keep on, doing certain things that I felt was good, for me. And certain things, sugar, goodness. If I load up on sugar during the day, and especially chocolate, I was in trouble. You already know it. So it'll just kind of kick off. But that was for me. And so people have to,
I I could share
just see what works with them.
I could
Yeah.
share, and I know we're about to drop off, but let me share just a few remedies for relief. And mom just alluded to some of them, but some things that you can do. But again, you have to figure out what works for you. But calcium and vitamin D is so critical because as part of that process, women start developing osteoporosis and other issues that come along with menopause and aging in general. So calcium and vitamin D, get your sun, go outside and get some sun, maintain your weight as
Yes.
best as possible. Eat
Yeah.
lots of fruits and vegetables. Avoid your triggers. Like mom said, sugar. I know sugar is a trigger for me. For you, mom, you said it was some clothes, the wrong kind of materials that they can
Yes.
wear, and
Silk,
so make
satin,
sure you
all of
avoid
that.
your silk and satin. Avoid your triggers. Exercise. Eat phytoestrogens. Water intake. Lots of water. Reduce certain foods, certain types of foods would trigger it. Make sure you're eating regularly, consuming protein as long as your body will allow it. Supplements, and talk to other women, and see what they're doing and what works for them. But none of us are the same. We're all different, but many of us are experiencing some of these issues that go along with menopause. But there are ways that you can get through it,
Mhm.
women. And we just wanted to encourage you today, give you a few things, to chat about. I'm sure this subject is far from over. We encourage you also, if you can get a massage, get massages, things that can help you both with your mental health as well, because it is mental, physical, all of that weighs into how you can get through the phase
And
of
relieve the
perimenopause,
stress
antemenopause, and beyond. Yeah,
and
Mhm.
relieve the stress in your life, because that's
yeah,
the whole thing, is the stress and anxiety. So you yourself have to calm yourself down. Now, check
yeah.
this out. I always love sleeping on silk pillowcases or satin pillowcases. Even now, I cannot sleep on. If I sleep on a satin pillowcase, I wake up drenched. Just I can't. And I love, because it is, I learned this from, over years ago. You keep your hair in place, but I just can't. I tried it last week. Can't. No satin pillowcase. So
It
those
work.
are triggers for me. It doesn't work, you know. But I will say it is so important to make sure that you take care of yourself and make sure that you are, like you said, reading or, things that would just kind of calm it down. I can't tell you about the fan and the flashes. If that's what you got to do, you just got to fan it away. But some of the things
And
that we
the
talked
other
about,
thing, yeah, one thing is with the mental fogginess. Unfortunately, yes, that is something that does happen for some women. And one of the things I encourage you to do is just write things down. Just keep writing things down. Because you will forget.
yeah, and
Unfortunately,
do
they
and
do
do
have vitamins
understand,
that can help. Go ahead, mom.
yeah, yeah, just do understand. I'm sorry, Shawana, I didn't want to lose my fall thought, but uh, hey, that still happens. But yes, do understand this is life. This is real. Dr. Michelle Webb said it used to be a taboo. People didn't want to talk about it, but it is real. We must talk about it. Women should talk about it with their husband because sometimes men don't know what you're going through. You're just acting crazy and and you're fanning and carrying on. But it's okay to talk about and then kind of show them this is real. This is real life. We think that we're going to be young forever. Ladies, you're not going to be young forever. No, there are body changes
I
that you're going to go through, and there are certain things that come along with aging. And I always say aging gracefully. You know what I'm saying? Not aging crazily, but aging gracefully. And that's a part of that aging gracefully is the fact that yes, I am dealing with this, and yes, this is part of the process. And so how I handle it is okay. So rather than complaining about it, let's embrace it and then do what we can to help ourselves with it. That's what
That's
I say.
good. That's
am.
awesome.
Good
But
stuff. Good
that's
stuff.
menopause.
Is that good stuff?
Yes, good stuff.
Yeah. Well, okay, so one of the things that I will say that, for us, let's talk about it on next week. Please keep in mind, we know that is Resurrection Sunday, Easter. And so, therefore, we know that everyone is going to be with their families. And so, if you're going to be with your family, we will not be here. We will be back the week after. So, we just want you to know that we won't be here on next Sunday, but we will be back the week after with something good. In fact, Dr. Michelle Webb, she will be joining us on that particular
Yeah.
Sunday. Okay, so this has been Let's Talk
Awesome.
About It with Alice. We covered some great stuff. We
We
talked about
did.
law. So we say, look it up, get all your great information. We also cover what I want to say, Judge, and I say Judge Katanja Brown Jackson. Yes, just echo that with our youngsters so that they'll know, hey, it can happen in America, and we're glad about it. Also,
Exactly.
because it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing that we can keep quiet about. And yes, we should talk about it. We should talk about it because it affects women. It affects relationships. It affects our children. What happens to us affect our families and how we're
That's
dealing
right.
with our families. So we just gave you a little bit of information, but check it out. It is real. All right. This has been Let's Talk About It with Alice. And as we always do, we want to say love.
Peace and
And
increase.
increase.
Increase to you. Why? Because we love you. And thank you so much for joining in. And if this was great to you, just go right on ahead on and share this. Thank you so very much. Goodbye. See you the next time. God bless.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.